You're listening to Don't IEP Alone with special education advocate Lisa Lightner. For more information about Lisa, the IEP Toolkit, and more ways we can help you in your process, go to adayinourshoes.com. Now back to the show with your host, Lisa.
Good morning. I'm Lisa Lightner from the Don't IEP Alone podcast, my simple little podcast about IEPs. I've been trying to keep the episodes to 5 to 8 minutes so that you can get your information and go on with your day. I know I mentioned in a few previous episodes that some of the podcasts I listen to, like, it's clear that these people are just trying to fill a half hour or an hour and they just don't have enough to talk about. And I'm like, this isn't funny. This isn't entertaining. This could have been over 45 minutes ago. But anyway, so Pennsylvania has these weird little things called state and local task forces. They're called the Right to Education Local Task Force or Right to Education State Task Force. And we also have these weird things called intermediate units, which is just an intermediate unit, like just what it says. It's an intermediate in between the state and the local district. And they're service providers, and they were established in the early 70s to, you have to remember in 1972, when we got special ed here in Pennsylvania, schools didn't know how to do it. Like, there were no special ed teachers. Like, it just didn't exist. So we established these things called intermediate units, and they were there to assist the districts and provide training and provide support, provide resources. And that's what they do today. As part of that, there's these groups called the state and local task forces. The state one, obviously statewide. The local ones are by your intermediate unit. And the state has 29 intermediate units for 67 counties. Anyway, my intermediate unit covers the county where I live, because I live in a very large and very populated 800,000 people county. I'm the chair. One of the tasks that we're supposed to do, and these task forces, by the way, the name, I hate it. I've been petitioning for a new name for over a decade, because it's so clunky. It's not something you want to get involved in. And if you invite parents to, say, join a task force, it sounds like they have to work, and they're already overwhelmed at their IEPs. Anyway, one of the actual tasks as chair of the task force is that we are supposed to be open to the community to report things into us, trends, right? What are some trends that we see in special education that's maybe not so good? As an example, I had a parent reach out to me, and she had an IEP meeting, and the LEA told her that she was not permitted to bring an advocate to the meeting. Now, we know that IDEA specifically says that, any person with knowledge of the child or something like that, like they cannot deny you an advocate. We know this. I helped her behind the scenes. She asked the right questions. She pointed out the right things, and the LEA was like, oh yeah, I forgot. I was missing. I don't know what he said. Whatever. We got it fixed, is the bottom line. However, it was one incident in one district. So is it a trend? No, it's not a trend until I hear about it from a few more parents. So we have our monthly meetings, and this, at the end, I said, okay, any trends, anybody wants to report in, blah, blah, blah. And so a woman spoke up, and she said, yeah, I would like to address something that I think is a trend. And she said, in my district, they're not doing anything to train parents about the IEP process. They're not telling them anything. And nobody knows, these parents don't know the IEP process, and they don't know how to advocate, and they don't understand what's going on. And the school's not providing any training at any of the schools. However, and she's right. And I know this district, and she's right. But here's the thing, they're not required to. So, they're just not required to. IDEA, as far as what it provides for parent training, it provides, well, it's been being demolished, but there are provisions in, I think it's Part A, or maybe it's Part C is the 0 to 3. So I think it's Part A. Provides for like the parent training and information centers and things like that, which, of course, a lot of that funding has been slashed. There is a parent training section in the IEP. So if, for example, the most common, I think, example is that if your child receives an assistive technology device, and because there's staff training too, then, parents and staff should be trained on how to use that device with the child. And that was something that you would put in the IEP. But other than that, as far as actual training, like, yes, the IDEA says that they're required to provide you with someone who can explain your evaluations to you. And they're required to assist you if you ask for help. But most parents don't want to ask for help. I don't know if you're just overwhelmed or what. I can tell you that if the reason that you're not asking for help is because you don't want to appear vulnerable and you don't want the school to know that you don't know IEPs, I can guarantee you they already know that you don't know IEPs. Like, why would you? Nobody would know this if you didn't have to do it. Like, random people on the street don't know IEPs because only weirdos like me dig in and learn every aspect of it, and you just wouldn't learn it if you didn't have to. So, that's not a trend. Anyway, all that to say that when she says that's a trend, that's not a trend in special education countywide that we're seeing. I mean, it's a trend in that, yes, I haven't seen many districts, if any, provide meaningful training to parents on the IEP process, like, ever. Like, once in a while they'll hold a workshop or a guest speaker or something like that. But no, parents or districts generally do not train parents on the IEP process. That's my job. That's what I do, and that's why I do it, is because schools don't do it. So definitely look up don'tiePalone.academy, because I do have, not all my courses are super expensive. Some of them start at like $9. If you want to just learn about progress monitoring, that's $9, right? I don't do all expensive stuff. If you want the whole Cadillac, that's $300, but it's lifetime access and you get live chats with me and all that good stuff. But I do have a trend to report in, and it is not a very great trend that I'm seeing. So tune into next episode when I will tell you this trend that I am seeing in special education that is not favorable and how to overcome it. I'm Lisa Lightner. Thank you so much for tuning in, and you can find more information in the show notes or at adayinourshoes.com or don'tiePalone.com.
Thank you for listening to Don't IEP Alone with special education advocate Lisa Lightner. We're so glad you've joined us and would love to connect with you outside of the show. For more information about Lisa, the IEP Toolkit, and more ways we can help you in your process, go to adayinourshoes.com. From self-care tips to common IEP mistakes, there's even more to explore. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast and subscribe to never miss an episode. Until next time, don't IEP alone, and you don't have to.